Welcome to today's Facebook Live. Now today's Facebook Live, I'm going to be talking about actually a somewhat sensitive topic. I was asked, I'm a veterinarian, an animal behaviorist, and I was asked by my nephew if I would do this as a public service announcement. So today's topic is about the dangers of choke chains at the dog park. And I'm first going to tell you the story which my nephew told me about and why I'm making this video. Okay, so I received the call that we always, especially as veterinarians, absolutely hate getting, which is a person who has just witnessed a tragic event that could accidentally happen in a matter of moments. And everything that everybody tried to do to try to save the animals couldn't work. The animal died. So this one day, my nephew called me because he was at a local open area in the large city where he lives, at a big park where people bring their dogs and they run and they play, and usually everything's fine. And on this particular day, he was there with his own pet dog, and two other dogs ran up to each other. One of the dogs was wearing a choke type training collar, choke type chain. And when another dog came to the face of this dog like this, the two dogs jumped on each other and started biting and roughhousing around the neck. The one dog that was jumping up, and they actually started to aggress on each other, jumped up and grabbed when he did. I'm going to just demonstrate what happened here. Choke chain around, let's say, this dog. And of course it's loose, they're off leash. And you have this free ring. When this dog jumped up, the ring snagged on the canine tooth, the lower canine tooth of this dog. So when it snags on his mouth, I'll hold it here, this dog wearing the choke collar, of course, is pulling back, trying to get away, and it started choking the dog. And in that moment, my nephew tried to get in there to separate the two dogs. Remember, this is stuck on this dog's tooth. He is trying to pry open this dog's mouth to get it off the canine tooth. He can't get it off because the canine tooth is not straight like a post on a fence. The canine tooth comes up and curves. So I'll show you with this other collar. When things like a bone or a ring, get over that canine tooth curve back like this, you can see how it's difficult to slide it back off because you got to go back, you have to tip it back on this direction, and the dog's mouth is opening and closing against it, and you can't get it off very readily. So he's struggling to try to get it off while this dog is literally hanging. And everybody else got the dogs away, but in a matter of just a few moments, the dog that was wearing the choke chain choked to death. Tried to do CPR, the animal control got there very quickly, but the dog could not be saved. And all this happened in a matter of a few minutes. So when our dogs are in play, I know inside fenced dog parks, oftentimes there's a request or recommendation for the dogs to play naked. No collars at all, because I'm going to show you a couple different kind of collars where the same tragedy could happen, although maybe not getting to the point of total asphyxiation, of choking, but still there could be damage on this dog's neck because when it's compressing on the trachea and pressing around the neck, there's a lot of bruising, damage to this dog's teeth, can't get the dog separated, more escalation, more people getting bitten. Okay, so a second style of collar that could still be a big risk. I'm not recommending this collar, but I'm just going over what our dogs wear and why we need to be conscious of having them wearing safe harnesses or safe collars to wear, especially if they're out and about off lead running around with other dogs. Okay, so this is a martingale, and this martingale has the chain top. Some martingales have the fabric, top, and a martingale collar is meant to, it goes around the neck, okay, and when the collar is not on leash, it's very loose. Now this is what I've seen happen with these kind of collars, and the dogs are just still wearing them, kind of like clothing, if you will. This can flip up in the mouth and get hooked behind the canine teeth. And then the dog can't swallow, they can't eat, it is painful, they're trying to paw it off. So please do not wear martingale collars loose. Now, if this, in the case of a martingale collar, if the same kind of incident happened, and it could. He comes up, they start jumping, and this ring part, you know, gets snagged on this dog's tooth. The martingale will tighten up. Now, it tends to not asphyxiate because of the limit, but it will depend on how the martingale is even fitted. So do not wear the martingale collars, even the ones with the bands, because there's still a metal ring or a metal loop on that band that could still get caught on the other dog's teeth, okay? So do not wear martingale collars either when they're in play. Now we have buckle collars, right? Okay, got a little buckle collar here. So again, we got our Jack Russell little dog, and this could happen between dogs of any size. This kind of thing could happen between a big dog and a little dog. Okay, so we got the buckle collar. All right, typically with buckle collar play, and if this one was also wearing a buckle collar, for example, they'll jump and kind of collars will get hooked on each other, and that could still be a lot of trouble, you know, because they're wearing their identification tag, or they're wearing, you know, their rabies tag. The tags are required to wear by law, etc. And so the tags can get entangled, and then you've got a real mess here too with the dogs entangled. It could still happen because here we go. Here's that Here's that D-ring loop on this collar that this little guy could jump up, gets hooked again on his tooth. When he's pulling, even if it's high up on the neck, you could see how it's pulling around the trachea. It could compress the trachea. It could cause strangulation. So when it comes to dogs out in the group, you know, playing around and having a good time, in this case, in the situation with my nephew, it was not an enclosed dog park. It was a very large, general open area in a city park that dogs tend to be off leash, loose and playing. The owners are right there. It's supervised. Usually everything is fine. This was a tragic day. So they do need to wear, though, some kind of a harness or something that has their identification. Now, a harness is better because on the harness, they can have their ID tag here hanging from the front, or it could be even, you know, tagged on the back loop. Dogs, when they're in play, it is not appropriate play. They also need to learn their proper play to not jump and be biting around the neck. But let's just say in a quick moment, they jump up and they grab at each other. They're going to tend to grab more around the head and neck than over the back or over the front of the thorax. And it's not as common for the dogs to be like this chest to chest where there might be any risk of that hooking on each other. So especially a Y-shaped comfort type harness would be better for them to wear for identification. If you're in an enclosed dog park, then no collars, no harness, as we call it, naked play. Naked play tends to be best. Now, dog park etiquette, most important thing. Hey guys, you're going to sit over here for a minute. So this is the handout. There's a handout or poster available from drsophiayin.com. You can download this or buy a packet of these. And I have seen at some dog parks, which I think is wonderful, that these have been printed really large, like 2 feet by 3 feet as a poster, you know, on laminated poster board, so it's up good to the weather. And on this handout, it shows how we want our dogs to not be coming right face to face, how we want to teach them a good call, come when called. We do not want to see the body slamming, jumping up, really chasing, really sniffing around each other intensely. Actually, there's a lot of rude play that goes on that then escalates to aggression at dog parks. And it really, dogs need to learn how to play appropriately. And they learn that if you go to the correctly run, best run puppy classes that manage puppy play using drag lines, teaching to come away early, okay? So we need to really understand proper and good puppy play. The dog park etiquette handout, I think, is a really good one for everybody who has a dog that's going to go on a dog park or any kind of common play or play date with the neighbors, you know, the neighbor's dog or your relative's dog, because this could happen in your own backyard. It could. Get this, download it, follow these rules. I hope this kind of a tragedy never happens to you. All our veterinarians, all our veterinary staff, please, please, do not advise if anything like a choke chain is worn on that animal. I think when we ourselves immediately remove it from the animal's neck, We replace it with a wide band collar if we need a collar on for doing collar holds. We're making a very good statement to say this is not to be worn regularly or only for a short, like a couple of training sessions if need be. And by that point, then we should be able to switch over to a regular harness. But we do not, these are not worn. These are not a collar. These are not to be worn. And we need to tell, I think, our clients about some of these tragic events to really help people to understand the impact of what, how things can happen and such. Thank you very much for your time. I look forward to your comments below. Please be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, drsallyjfoote.com, Dr. Sally J. Foote. I have a lot of other videos and information. On my website, I have free handouts under the pet resources page and veterinary page, drsallyjfoote.com. Take care. Bye-bye.